Everybody, I'm going to be going over some SAT, PSAT type problems. This is a section 3, which is a non-calculator. I'm going to get started right away, and I'm going to keep my timer on so I can, just in case my recorder stops on me or quits showing me the time. All right, let's start with number 1. Try the problem first, and then move ahead with my explanation. A lot of people are going to distribute that too. A lot faster method is just to divide by 2 on both sides, and we get y minus 5 is equal to 7. Adding 5 is going to give you your 12 to both sides. You're going to add 5 to both sides and get your 12, and we move on. This is a set of inequalities, and some people are going to be tempted to try to do the graph on there. You don't have to, because we know that y has to be less than 2x. And what we want to find is the one where it's true for both of these inequalities. So if you try 1, 1, you can find that 1 is less than 2. All I did was put the 1 in for the x and the 1 in for the y. And so it's true for the first one. Now, is it true for the second one? If I put 1 for y and 1 for x, is this true? And it's not. So A is out. Now I'm going to try number 2. So I'm going to put in 3, 0. That's 3 for x and 0 for y. Is 0 less than 2 times 3? All I'm doing is substituting that point 0, 3, 0 into this inequality. And I want to see, is this true? And it is. Now it has to be true for the second one for this to be true. Y is 0, and is it greater than negative 3 plus 3? And it's not, so B is out. I've just turned this into a 50-50 question. It's taking some time, but I think it's worth it. There are other methods, but let's try 3, 2. Is 2 less than 2 times 3? And of course it is. And is 2 greater than negative 3 plus 3? And it is. And so it's true for both. C, and I'm going to move on. Number 3, we've got a linear function. Now, one of the things you want to be able to read is that this is a point, and this is the x that goes into the function, and this is the value you get out. We call this the x and this the y. So 0, 2 is a point on this function or this graph. Take a guess what this one is. Write that point down and then test the points. That's one way to do it. There are other ways, but negative 6 is my x and 0 is my y. We call these the intercepts for an equation. Now, clearly, if I put in 0, I'm not going to get 2. For this one, it's going to give me negative 6. And if I put in 0 for this one, it's going to give me negative 6. So it's between these two. If I put negative 6 into here, I'm going to get a huge negative number. I'm certainly not going to get 0. And I've already eliminated them all. Negative 6, and take 1/3 of it, you get negative 2. Plus 2 is 0, and B is my answer, and I'm moving on. I'm trying to keep it under a minute for each one with an explanation. I may not be able to. Now, in this one, it says that this is the perimeter of a rectangle, and it says that these are the possible side lengths of that perimeter. And one way to look at a standard form equation is to put in 0 for the length. And then I know the width. And what I'm doing is I'm just substituting in the 0. And what I generally do is just cover up the length part, because it's length, width. That's x, y. So 0 in my point, this is going to be one of my intercepts, is divide by 2 and you get 12. So I know one of my points is 0, 12. This one is out, this one is out, and these two are, the last two are possible. I'll show them to you in a second. Now the other one, to find the other intercept, you put in 0 for y, in this case it's the w, and you get 2l equals 24, so it's going to be 12, 0. And if you want to see the ones that I crossed out already, I crossed out this one because this is 0, 24. I crossed out this one because it's 0, 24. 0, 12 is true, but 24, 0 is not. And of course, 12, 0, 0, 12, and 12, 0 are right there. Anyway, I found some points. You could have used any other points, but it would have been hard to tell if they were on the line or not. That's D. Now, one of the things I like to do is when I'm doing these by hand, I tend to put an answer, a letter answer, capitalized next to the number. That way, when I'm putting it in the bubbles, I'll be able to find them. All right, getting behind. Number 5, a nice easy one. This is called vertex form, and we know that the vertex right here is at 2, -5. What you want to do is zero out your x's to get the -5. So 2 should zero out my x. Both of these are out. So putting a 2 into both of these gives me a 0 for x. And which one gives me the -5 for y? It happens to be this one. If you're not sure what I'm doing, I'm substituting 2 in for x, and that's going to give me my 0, which is where my vertex is, and then I get the 5 for this one. This one would be, would have a vertex way up there. Anyway, moving on, that's A. And this one, we've got a system of equations and x, y. What is the value of x minus y? Hopefully you recognize this. This is x plus y times x minus y is equal to 32. This is a squared minus b squared, a plus b, a minus b, yada, yada, yada. And watch this substitution. They love substituting for expressions instead of numbers. You see, x plus y is 8, so this is 8. And I have to multiply that by x minus y to get 32. So I'm sure you can figure out, I'm going to solve not for x or y, but I'm going to solve for x minus y. I want to find out what is the value. Well, 8 times what gives me 32, and of course it's 4. You divide by 8 on both sides, however you want to think of it, and we're moving on. Looks like I'm catching up a little bit. All right. Relationship between two variables x and y is linear. For every increase in the value of x by 1, the y increases by 4. I'm so sorry. There we go. Now you can see it. Okay. This is literally the definition of slope. For every increase of x by 1, the y increases 4. This is called rate of change. It's always the change in y over the change in x for slope. And so the slope is 4 over 1. That eliminates these two, and it also eliminates that one, and I'm done. There's even more. I could have done the point, which is 211. And 211 is the point that they describe. And I could try 211, and 2 times 4 is 8, plus 3 is 11, and I know for sure that my D is correct. I like to put a star when I've double-checked them and triple-checked them and so on. Number 8, hopefully you recognize that if you distribute the 1/10, you get what's called an identity. 5x minus 10 is always equal to 5x minus 10. This is always true. It's called an identity, and if I had gotten plus 10, for example, it would never be true, and it would have 0 solutions. This has an infinite number of solutions. X can be anything in an identity. This one looks really horrible, and some people are going to skip it. Not a good idea. It says the economy based on speed. You see, this is the fuel economy in miles per gallon. That's what the Y value represents. And they want to know what happens when you put a given speed into this equation, you get the fuel economy. That's what this is saying. If you can read this point happens to be 25 is being put in because it says E of S. S is the speed, 24 is the fuel economy. And you can read which one that is. A constant speed of 24, nope. Vehicle has a constant speed of 24, nope. A constant speed of 25 miles per hour gives you a fuel economy of 24. And we are done and moving on. This one is this is basically a function an exponential function. That's what it's called. And it's basically a 4% interest rate. You can think of it as a 4% growth rate. If this number was less than 1, then it would be a decay. It would be exponential decay. We started with 1263, and it says that T is the population of years after a certain point. Now it says, which one of the following would the population of the N months? So now we're looking at a number of months. Now think about this. If I put in 12 months, I'm talking about 1 year. So what would 12 do to this one? It would make it 144. That's not 144 years. In this one, 12 months would get this multiplied even more. That's not it. And in this one, you're dividing the number by 12, which is going to be an exponential decay, which is not what we're looking for. It is this one right here. And hopefully you can see that if I put in 12 months, I get 1 year. If I put in 24 months, I get 2 years. And it looks exactly like this. A little bit tricky. Exponential growth function. Now this one says another very similar type of thing. We're talking about this time an increase of 9% for every increase of 1 in the value of y. So again, this one was like a 4% increase. This one is going to be a 9% increase. So we're talking about the 1.09 raised to the x power, and we're multiplying it by the 75. And which one is it? Certainly looks like this one, maybe. Yep. D. Now, if it said it was declining, then we would use this one. This would be exponential decay. This one's not even an exponential, and neither is this one. This is exponential increase of 9% every time. Let's see, this one, we want to know, this is pole vaulting, and this is the time in seconds and the height above the ground. And we're looking, it certainly looks like a position function in physics. If you're dealing with a position function, this represents half the gravity right here. Hopefully my recording is still working. I don't see it. I don't see my timer anymore. Let's see, we're talking about negative 16 t squared plus v0t. Which one of them looks like that? It certainly looks like this one. Let's see if 0, 0 works in all of them. Yep. What about 120? After 1 second, we've got 20. Definitely out. 1 second, we got 20. Nope. 1 second, we've got 20. Nope. It's got to be B. And of course, it does look like our position function. There is a P0 in the actual physics formula. But anyway, there it is. It's a physics formula, kind of. This is a quadratic equation. You're going to have to just work it out. There are other ways to go, but I think quadratic is the way to go. And of course, you should know it. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And you put them in. So negative b is negative 4 plus or minus the square root of b squared, that is 4 squared, minus 4ac. This is where I like to put plus a negative 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is negative 5. Hopefully you can see this is a positive over here. And it's all being divided by 2a, which is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. It looks like we've got a negative 1 in the beginning, because negative 4 over 4 is negative 1. So these two are out. That means we're between these two. Now, this number happens to be 4 times 5 times 2, which is 40, plus 16 is 56. The square root of 56 over 4. Does that look like square root of 7 over 2 or the square root of 14 over 2? And it's a little hard to see, but this happens to be 4 times 14, and it is definitely this one. If you need to see it, the square root of 56 is the square root of 4 times 14, and that is 2 root 14, and that's where that square root of 14 came from. So it is B, and we're moving on. Okay, what do we got here? Given equation, A is a constant. Oh my God, it's an easy one. Okay, one thing to be careful of, if you're running out of time, jump back to the easy ones. These open-ended ones are the easy ones. Look at this. A plus B times A minus B equals A squared minus B squared. That's what this is doing. It's just that they're going all the way up to the fourth instead of the squared. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. So the A is 9. It's just a pattern. A plus B times A minus B is A squared minus B squared. The 3 times the negative 3 cancel out the middle terms, if you like to think of it that way. And A is positive 9 because the minus is already there. This one, number 15, is a system of equations, and it's set up perfectly to add. Negative 5x plus 8x is 3x. Negative 7y plus 7y is 0. And 92 and negative 101. I've got 8 and 1 more makes 9, and the negatives win. I'm just doing the subtraction in my head. Lots of ways to go with that. Divide by 3, and we get x equals negative 3, but that is not your answer. They ask for the value of y, so you still have to substitute in your negative 3 to find your y. I'm going to put it in this one, I guess. 8 times negative 3 minus 7y is equal to negative 101. This is going to be negative 24. Let me make sure I've got my, looks like I have my equation correct. Okay, so I just substituted in this one. So I'm going to add 24 to both sides. And that's going to cancel out my negative 24. I have negative 7y left. And it is equal to negative 101 plus 24. That's negative 70. I'm going to subtract it a little easier here. Make it easy on myself. This is negative. That's going to be 9, and that's 11. And 4 from 11 is 7. That's negative 77. The negatives win. I'm doing a subtraction here. That's all I'm doing. And putting the negative with the biggest. Divide by negative 7, and we get 11 for y. We could test it in the other one if we had time. All right, we've got a field, and it's a square field. It's 80 by 80 meters, and she leases a triangular part, so it looks like we're looking for area here maybe. It says that she leases that part of the field to the farmer. What is the area in the field, the square meters, that she does not lease to the farmer? So we're looking for this white area. Well, you're going to take the area of the square, which is s squared, and you're going to subtract the area of a triangle, which is 1/2 base times height. So all you had to do is put your numbers in. We're going to take 80 squared minus 1/2 base of the triangle is 50. The height of the triangle is 40. And this is going to be 80 squared. Hopefully you can do that in your head. That's 6,400. And I have 1/2 times 2,000. This is 2,000. And half of that is 1,000. And we have 5,400 square meters. And we just put that into our calculator, or into our answer sheet. Last one. Yay. Oh, it's a mixture problem. Okay, for those of you who have done some chemistry, and hopefully in Algebra 2, you've done some mixture problems. The way it works is that you're taking some solutions. We don't know how much salt solution we're taking. So we're going to take X liters of salt solution at 10%. So we're basically looking at how much salt is in this solution. And we're going to add that to 5 liters of 25% solution. So we're taking the 5 liters and adding it up. And we're going to end up with a 15% salt solution. Well, we have 15%, but how many liters do we have now? I have X plus 5 liters. Now, all I have to do is solve this equation. A lot of people are going to get hung up on the decimals, and I'm going to show you what to do about that. I'm going to go ahead and distribute my 0.15, so it's going to look a little funky, but it's okay. 0.10x plus 0.25 times 5, that's 5 quarters, is $1.25, is equal to 0.15x, and 15 times 5 is 75, so we're talking about 0.75. Now I'm just going to multiply both sides or every term by 100. That's going to eliminate all those decimals. That is 10x plus 125 is equal to 15x plus 75. Isn't that a nice equation? We subtract 10x from both sides. I'm going to go ahead and show you just how nice this is. This is 5x over here. And if you want, at the same time, I could subtract the 75. And 125 minus 75 is 50. We're going to divide by 5. And what do we get? X is equal to 10. That is 10 liters of 10% solution. A little scary, but there it is. And we're all done. I kept my time at 20 minutes, pretty close, which is what I was hoping for. Hope you all got them, and I will see you back. Bye.